Yeah, I guess the thing I liked most about our early years was that the days seemed to last longer back then. I think that a lot of times back then we could think more. We didn't have TV, internet, no cell phones. There wasn't much to do. Uh, and as time went on, you spent more and more time contemplating. And Tim and I used to refer to that as pondering. And back then, the best place to ponder was the outhouse. Now, since our outhouse faced northwest, you could leave the door open and see the woods while you sat. It was a wonderfully tranquil spot, and most importantly, it was a two-holder. Now, Mom's breakfast always kind of sat a little heavy in our stomach, so shortly after eating every morning, Tim and I would find ourselves heading the outhouse together. And it happened so often that we were out there together that I think that's why it's my earliest recollection. Now, the problem is those days all kind of blend together. But there is one that kind of stands out. And I do remember it specifically. I think I can put a date on it. It was probably May 1954. And I know that because that was the first year I was in school and I got out in May. Would put me at 5 and Tim at 4. And Mom would have been pregnant with Rosemary. In fact, she had Rosemary that summer. So Tim and I are out there doing our business, and finished up, had done a little brainstorming as usual, solved some of the mysteries of the world for us at that time. And back then, you know, a lot of the more well-to-do people with outhouses had catalogs and stuff, but you know, Dad was a little cheap. We had corn cobs, and the problem that morning was that, as I noticed when we finished, there was one corn cob left. Now, if you're out there on your own, that's fine. And Tim picked it up at the same time, and this had happened to us a number of times before. And we did what we usually did in those situations. We had to make a decision, and we'd do something like rock, paper, scissors, and the winner would get to make a decision. Of course, here you want to use the corn cob first. But Tim was, from a very early age, had amazing eye-hand coordination, so he was always beating me at rock, paper, scissors. And so, of course, I changed the game frequently and would practice a lot. But no matter how much I practiced, he seemed to always come out winning. So I came up with a brilliant idea that morning, and I think that's why it sticks in my head. I said, you know, Tim, he always set off right on me. I just finished school, and you know what we covered this last week? This exact situation. When you're down to one cob like this, the rule is the older brother gets the cob first. So Tim thought about that for a while, and I said, well, you know, that doesn't seem fair. And I said, well, talking fair, I mean, I should have been getting this half the time. I mean, I should have been getting this all the time for all these years, and I'm getting it basically half the time. And besides, think about it. Mom's going to have another baby here shortly, and Tim and I had already figured out that it's going to be a son. I'm not sure how we had that figured out, but that was our calculations. And so I said, you know, you're going to have another little brother, and so you want this role. This is perfect. I mean, if you're out here with your little brother, you're always going to get the cob first. So Tim thought a little more about it and said, yeah, I guess that makes sense. So from then on, I always got the cob first. Tim was a little bummed out, I remember, when Rosemary was born, because we were a little segregated, usually guys or girls. But at that point, the rule was already set and it was too late, so I always got the cob first.